Hello, everybody, and welcome to your messages from Spirit today when it comes to your psychic development and growth. As you know, my name is Linda. If you're returning to these videos, to this channel today to see another one of these videos, well, thank you so much for coming back to see us. If you are new to the channel, we like to help you with your psychic development and your growth. So, as a mentor for many, many moons and working with people one on one for many years, about six and a half years, I had weekly mentoring classes. Over the years, I've helped a lot of people to learn how to work with spirit and also how to become more enlightened and and get on that journey of maybe going through the area of becoming a healer or working to help others do this kind of work and so on and so forth. And one of the subjects that always comes up and is very important is how do I detach when it comes to the fact that I'm an empath. Now, there are thousands and thousands of wonderful, wonderful empaths on this planet that are aware of their gift. There are many others who are empathic and understanding, but they just think, oh, well, that's me. That's great. But many of us go through the journey of finding life difficult because we are empaths. We find that because of our energy, because of our caring, loving, kind, understanding inner essence, that many people pick up on that and decide that they feel comfortable talking to us about their problems and their issues in life. And I'm sure that there are many of you out there that have been like me. You could be in a queue in a shop waiting to buy something. You could be anywhere, in fact, and somebody's just drawn to you. For some reason, they just start talking to you. And that's lovely in many ways. It's really nice in a lot of ways. But it can be worse. It can be very difficult, not worse, but it can be a little bit difficult when they then get to know us, when we start to meet people and we are connected to people in a much closer environment. For example, you could have family members, friends, work colleagues, so many people who pick up on this empathic part of your nature that actually don't realize that they're taking you for granted. They don't mean it, but they can make us sometimes feel that we're being taken for granted, or they feel it's okay to give us all their worries, dump all their crap onto us. Is another way of putting it, as basic. And this is where our life can become a little bit difficult. And it's hard because we are who we are. We care. We walk with a great deal of love in our heart. And we are the people who wish they could save the world. And so when people start to confide in us, tell us all their problems and so on and so forth, we usually give them an ear. We usually listen, don't we? And so that's a great thing for them. It's good for them, but it can be detrimental to us if we don't master detachment. It is so important. But some of you out there, many of you out there, are going to say, well, Linda, how am I supposed to do that? Because some people are born with it. I wasn't. I was born with it. I think I'm blessed there, and hopefully there are many of you out there who are also blessed. And if you're wondering how I can how that works, or the best way I think to give you an example of detachment is where you don't get harmed in any way is, for example, the let's say a doc. We'll talk about a doctor, and let's say this doctor they're in their clinic 4 or 5 days a week, and every day they see 30, 40 patients. And in most of that week, especially in winter, most of those patients might have the flu or a cold or whatever. And that doctor goes there each day and every week and every month and so on. And that doctor is always available. And that doctor's never away sick with the flu. And why is that? Well, that's because the doctor sits there and his job, as far as he's concerned, his job is to make you better. And so he examines you, then he gives you a script, and off you go, and then he sees the next patient. And so the next patient then becomes his priority, and then he goes, and then the next patient. And so all throughout the day, he could see 10 or 15 people with all different types of situations where he's written a script and he's talked to them about it. And he goes home and hypothetically cooks tea and watches TV and doesn't think about anything that's gone through in the day because he's been doing his job, and that's part of his job. And so he can't sit there. He doesn't sit there and just think about every single patient that he's talked to and everything that he's done that day, because one patient has been replaced by another patient, and another patient's been replaced by another patient. And so he goes through the day and he's done his job, and that's it. Think about it. Think about what I've just told you. You'll see what I mean. And so he detaches. He's not detached to each and every person at all with his mindset. He's done a caring, loving, wonderful job looking after them, giving them the right medication, but he hasn't taken it on up here. You see what I mean? He hasn't put it up in there to carry for the rest of the day. If he did, he'd have all those people going around in his head. He'd probably end up going into the loony bin, wouldn't he? It's the same with my job, my work here, my work of when I see my clients. I don't take any of it on board. If I see, four or five people in a day, once the day's over, that's it. And usually I've forgotten everything that we've talked about, and that's because spirit takes it away from me. And so I don't carry the burden of each and every one of my clients. But a lot of my clients are walking and are not detached, walking this planet, and they're not detached. They haven't mastered, or they do not practice detachment. And so many people, everyone, are out there carrying the burdens of others. They take on board all the family problems. They take on board all the problems at work. They take on board everything and other people's issues. And so what happens? They become unwell, or they end up unhappy within themselves. With their mind is not clear. They're always stressed out. They just carry others' burdens all through the day. They worry about this person. They worry about that person. They worry about this situation. And their life is not their own. They lose themselves. And so it becomes very, very difficult. Now, there's so many different areas of detachment that we need to look at, but there's an awful lot of understanding too that you can put into place that can help you to detach but still walk your path as the empath, as the loving mother, as the loving sister, brother, as the loving child. You can still have these qualities in your soul, but walk a free spirit without all the worry and the stress and strife of the world around us and the people around us and the people in our life. You can still do that when you master detachment. And so one of the ways that we can look at it is, and my grandmother used to say this all the time, oh, live and let live, leave them to it, leave them to it. She used to say, they'll work it out. And that was her way of saying, she used to do it like this, let it go. That was her way of saying, let it go, flick it away. And that is something that we need to believe in, that okay, let's say, for example, I'll have to give you some examples when we're talking about this because it's the only way of really explaining what Spirit is saying to you. It's saying to all of us, saying to all of us. Let's say, this is all hypothetical, of course. Let's say your sister rings you up, and your sister is always ringing you up all the time. And she's always going on about her marriage. She's always going on about her kids. She's always going on about her job. And it's the same old thing. Week in, week out, month in, month out. This has been going on for years. And so when you see the phone ring and you see her number, you cringe because you think, oh no, not again. And she's here to ring me and to talk to me and offload all her stuff onto me. And you get to a stage where you don't know what to do about it. You don't want to hurt her because she's your sister and you love her and you care for her. And you're not happy that she's in that situation because you love her and because you care for her. But what's really happening here? There's an old saying, there's an old saying saying, "Oh, he goes on like a broken record." Have you heard that saying? Somebody goes on like a broken record, and then what that is, that's the broken record just goes on and on and on and on. It's like a broken. It's broken. The thing is, the broken record is the fact that that person's situation is broken. It's not healthy, it's broken. And that's really what that means, what that really does relate to. And so what do we do? How do we change so that we're not affected by all of this? Because it's possible that you could be each and every day you're nervous of the phone ringing because she's always ringing you and dumping it all onto you, or you're just, you're making lunch or you're making dinner and you're whatever, and you're thinking about your sister all the time. You're not thinking about your life or what it is you need to create or what's important for you because you've been taken over by somebody else's problems. It's consuming you because she's consumed. That's just an example. Many of you, you know exactly what we're saying here. You know what I'm relating to. I'm relating to the fact that we have people in our life who they always want to talk about all of their problems and they love to talk. And what they do is they drain us, they sort of take our energy because we encourage them, because we give them sympathy, because we give them love and understanding, which is what they need, we get affected by it. And the thing is this, that when we have this situation, it's very difficult to know what choices to make. And at the same time, it's not really that hard to change things. You won't change your sister, but to change things for yourself. Because you see, only she can do that. With these people who dump all their problems onto us, we could say to them, well, that can only happen to you if you allow it. If somebody's ringing you or contacting you and telling you about how they're being treated badly at work, well, we could say, well, why don't you get a different job or go to a new place, try and give them some support. They'll say, oh, no, I can't leave. I need the money. I can't, there's no other work I can do. They'll always there's always some sort of an excuse or a reason because they can't work out how to take responsibility for their life. And if they don't take responsibility and make change, well, how on earth are we supposed to be able to do that? And we can't. And so what we have to do to protect ourselves is we have to learn to detach emotionally and mentally from that situation until that person makes positive change. We just got to hope and pray that they do. But only they can do that, you see, isn't it? We can't do it for them. Only they can do that. And in the meantime, they're going to keep dumping it onto you, me, and everybody else who wants to listen. And so it's like a merry-go-round, isn't it? And so what we have to do for our own health, for our own sake, is we have to decide, I'm not going to allow it to affect me. I'm going to try and learn to detach. And how do we detach? Well, we have to change our mindset, don't we? And I'll keep using the sister as an example, but you know what I mean. This is just an example of something and someone that is affecting us in a negative, toxic way. Okay, because these sorts of things are negative, and they're also quite toxic to our mindset. So I'll just keep using that as an example here. So when your sister rings you and she's finished going on, you say, "Okay, see you later." You hang up. Oh, how do you feel? Well, most of the time you'll feel drained. Most of the time you'll feel pretty fed up. Most of the time it's like my whole day's now been ruined because she's made me feel miserable. And so what do I do now? I'm making tea for the family. I'm getting grumpy and cranky because it's affected me in that sort of way. There are a couple of things that we need to do that we need to not do. And one thing that I hear from a lot of people is that it affects their relationship. This sort of situation often affects their relationship. So, you're doing tea and hubby's there or your partner's there or whatever. And, oh, that was my sister. Oh, and then you start talking about and offloading all of that onto them. And there's one of the biggest death traps you can create. That's not a good idea because then you're actually extending all of that into somebody else's life. And this is where it can cause friction. And so the first thing we need to do, I guess, in that situation, say, oh, yeah, that was Mary, my sister Mary, same old thing. Anyway, look, let's not talk about it. And so you step into your own power there and you say, oh, let's not talk about it. You know what it's like, same old thing. Let's talk about how did you go today? And let's listen to some music. And these are just examples of how you can switch off. Let's listen to some music. Let's put Andre Bocelli on or something. That's what I listen to. Or let's talk about, you don't allow yourself to stay in that recent upset. You actually take yourself out of it and you don't bring somebody else into it. And this is how you learn and you practice. It takes a while. And some people, they decide after getting guidance from my guide, they decide that that's how they're going to handle it together as a couple. They're not going to allow it into their marriage or into their relationship. So at the moment, I'm talking about how you can detach yourself, but also so that your relationship doesn't get damaged by it. And they make an agreement. Let's not allow that to affect us. Let's just stay focused on our path. And this has got nothing to do with not caring or loving. That doesn't come into it. Of course, you love your family. Of course, you love people, your loved ones. This is about you not being affected by the fact that they will not take responsibility for their decisions. That's what it's all about. This is about you focusing on your journey, the journey that you're on at the moment. You can't live their journey, they've got to live that. And so this is about you staying focused. And if you're having a situation like this in your relationship, maybe it's a good idea for you to sit down and say, look, this is affecting us in a negative. We need to get ourselves back into a positive and not allowing this to take place. Detach it from it. And the only way to detach from it is to switch off from it. And if you need to discuss things and if you need to talk about things, it has to be in a way, I guess, where you both agree that, okay, we can talk about that, but then we have to decide and realize that we can't do anything about it. It's up to them. And if they're not prepared to listen to us or they're not prepared to do that, well, it's not our fault. We need to focus on our positive future. And so together you can, in fact, both or all of you, those involved in this situation, you can all decide, well, let's not feed it. Let's not feed the situation. Let's not, help to make it any worse than it is by all of us being affected by it. You could be a happy, wonderful, happy family. There's one person who's just so always causing problems, always causing trouble. And maybe it's someone's good idea for you all to decide, well, okay, let's not talk, let's not discuss it, let's not go there, let's just stay in our own positive energy and hope and pray that one day they get themselves sorted, and just send prayers, just send prayers and ask the universe to help them. And that's another way of letting go and not allowing yourself to be affected emotionally by somebody else's lack of, taking responsibility. Very many of us experience, as an empath or as a caring person, we experience throughout our life people approaching us or continuously, you know, looking to us for a support, guidance, and help. And you can still give that. You can still, give that while you're talking to them or while they're talking to you. You can still do that. But when you walk away or when you put the phone down or when, this is where you then need to take your mind, need to take your mind into something positive about yourself and your life. You need to switch off that's just taken place. You need to get it out. You need to not allow it to stay in there, even though you still have that. You still have that genuine caring. You still have that genuine love. You still have that wanting to. I'm praying that they can improve things, but you have to have that belief system that you can't change. You can't do anything about how they are thinking and acting. All you can do is maybe suggest that they get help, or maybe you can make suggestions, positive, loving suggestions. But at the end of the day, everybody, it's up to them, isn't it? It's up to them to make the change and to take the action. You all know exactly what I'm talking about. For those of you who have experienced this in your life, we've all experienced it, and many of us have experienced the negative and damaging energy it can bring into our life if we don't decide to emotionally, mentally step aside and not allow it to damage us in any way, because it can get to a stage where it can cause a lot of mental anguish and it can do us a lot of damage. And so Spirit is asking you to learn to master detachment. Those of you who are empaths, are caring, loving, nurses, doctors, if they know, they have mastered it because it's their job. But it's a bit different when it turns into the personal. You see, when you go to a doctor, when you go to a hospital and you're being looked after by a nurse or a doctor or a carer, you're there as a patient. You're there, and then you go home. But detachment is, and so they don't get affected in such a big way. But a real true detachment, mastering detachment, is when we are emotionally and personally involved with those who are affecting us. And this is where we have to learn. We have to learn and to practice this um, this action of self protection. We have to protect ourselves from the energies, the vibrational energies that these situations what they can can do to us in a negative way. As you know, everybody, I'm a crystal facilitator. So I've worked with crystals for many, many years. I started collecting them, a long time ago. It's something like 40 years ago, actually. And I don't have a huge collection, not a massive collection like some people, but I always had my favorites that I had around me. And our home has got a lot of crystals around. But I do strongly believe in the power of them because I've worked with them, I've used them, and so black tourmaline, a lot of the black crystals, a lot of the jet and a lot of the other black crystals, they have a very powerful protection. But the black tourmaline is really great because it does actually block the energies. It actually assimilates and breaks down the negative energies of before it gets to us. And so whenever I do phone readings or if I'm on the phone with anybody, and and I know I'm going to make a phone call, I always make sure I have my black tourmaline next to me when I'm talking to that person, so I don't get their energy through my phone. Shungite, elite shungite, is also a very powerful tool to protect your energy field from phones, computers, and so on. You don't get those negative vibrational energies that come through. And so protecting yourself from others' energy is also very important when it comes to, looking after your energy. So it's a good idea to have some black tourmaline around your home. You can get this in all sorts of bits and pieces. It doesn't have to be giant pieces. I have got big pieces of it, but I've also got small pieces. And I have this in every room in my home, and I know that it just sits there. And when I put it out in a full moon, each month it gets re-energized and it just keeps my energy field protected. But I also, I use, I don't smudge my home a lot with white sage because I have clients coming and going. So I use my bowls, my singing bowls, and I just go through my house and I'll break up the energy in my home with my singing bowls. I just hit them and they go through the home and they just break all the negative energy up and just refresh the energy around me. So it's important as empaths to protect our field as well as from other people. We also, we need to make sure that we utilize some of the tools that there are out there that can break up negative energy, because people who are always negative, their energy is negative. So if you have people coming into your home and their energy is not good and it's not, if you meet people and you can meet people and you just feel there's something not quite right about them, again, this is also about you protecting your energy field so that you don't get affected by toxic, people and energies. And so it's important. It's very important to protect ourselves. It's very important to distance ourselves from negative vibration, negative people, and everyone is vibration. So try very hard to master detachment. It's something that, I talk about occasionally with some of the guidance videos that we put through. Be patient, that it does take time sometimes, but it's hard to sometimes switch off. But the best way to switch off is to know that you are the ruler of your mind. You are the only person that can rule your mindset. Nobody can tell you how to think. And you know that what you really need to do is to think positive. You need to stay positive and you need to think positive and have faith and trust that your positive thoughts, your positive affirmations, your positive belief system will keep you protected from negativity as well. You can put a shield around yourself each and every day. You just ask spirit, you just say, I'd like to ask, please, for a spirit of divine light. Just ask for a shield of divine light to be placed in and around me now. And I ask that divine light protect me from all negative situations, negative people, negative energies. I also ask that that divine light protect me from viruses and germs, and I ask that it's placed around me now, and I thank you for that protection. And that's another way of protecting yourself, your auric field, but also in many ways your mindset as well. So I know that this has been a little bit of a heavy video, um, but detachment is very powerful. It's uh, it's something that once you master it, no matter who is in your life, no matter the situations that you're living in, working in, um, succeeding in, uh, once you master detachment, all of those situations, no matter how difficult they are, because they're usually outside of your control, anything that's outside of your control that you can't control, you're not creating. You can learn. If you master detachment, you can learn how to live with it and not to be affected by it. There are many of us that have lived and worked in toxic environments, and because we've mastered detachment, it hasn't affected us at all because we don't take it on board emotionally. We don't take it on board mentally at all. No matter how difficult it is, once the ball is back in our court with our mind, we decide that we're not going to allow it to affect us. And it's important that we get into that belief system and that state of mind. And it doesn't mean we don't care. It doesn't mean we don't love people. It's got nothing to do with it. This is self-protection. This is keeping your mind healthy. With a healthy mind, you will have a healthy body, you will have a good life. You'll have a life of abundance because you're walking in the light. You're walking with a positive mindset, and that brings in all the good stuff. Okay? And believe you me, it works. It's something, please learn to master it. I hope we've helped you with this today. It's a full-on video, I know that. But it's fact. And all of you out there, many of you out there will know what spirits talk to you about today is true. And other people's issues and problems, they really can be quite destructive to us if we're not careful. And they can affect us, our relationships, our life, everything in a very negative way. And so we don't want that to happen. We don't want that in our life. We want to have a happy future, a happy life. And so we must take control. We must stay in our power and not allow them, that situation, those people, whoever they are, we mustn't allow them to destroy our peace of mind. So please let me know if this has helped you. I'd love to hear from you if it has, and if you'd like to receive all the other videos that we put on when it comes to your psychic development and growth, messages through from the spirit realm that we do every 4 or 5 days. If you'd like to receive more of those, get notifications, please subscribe and let us know. I'd love to hear from you. Please give us a like if this has helped you in some way to understand some things. If you've got questions, please just, if you've got any questions, I'm more than happy to give you an answer. Spirit will will answer you. I check the comments every day. So please don't hesitate. If it's a bit private, fair enough. But if you'd like if you don't ask, you're not sure about how to go about things that we've talked about, then just let us know. We'll get back to you. We'll put a comment. We'll put a comment in the comments page, and others may also benefit from that too. You may be asking a question that a few others wanted to ask, but they weren't game to. So take care, everybody, and look after yourself. And I look forward to catching up with you again very, very soon. Bye bye.